I'm going to talk about the China's earthquake and also China's response. Similar to the tsunami case in Indonesia, China also had adopted many response. But here I only focus on one response, where indigenous innovation to deal with the earthquake. So the earthquake is very deadly. It happened in 2008. More than 8,000 people were dead. It is the 21st largest in history. So total damage is 121 billion US dollars. You can see from the picture, many roads and the communication facility were damaged. You see, many people live in the mountainous areas, so the road were cut out, and most of the buildings were collapsed. And then they created a big problem we called information and transportation glut. After the earthquake, people donate many things, and also the local government, the central government send many tents and other emergency relief goods to Chengdu through railway. But the railway is largely exceeding the railway station's capacity. People couldn't keep track of where are the relief goods. At that time, the President Hu Jintao called Mr. Wang Zhenyao, the relief chief of Ministry of Civil Affairs, several times to inquire the status of the tents. He ordered him to send the tents to the disaster area, to the affected household in 2 days. I interviewed Mr. Wang. He said he was sweating when he received the third call, but it's impossible to keep track where are the tents are located because all the trains are stacked there, the computer couldn't keep track of them, and his cell phone kept ringing from all the people. He didn't have time to think. He said, for this kind of centralized system, didn't work. I suddenly realized the central planning system is impossible to solve this kind of information glut problem. And he figured out we must ask other local government to play a bigger role. And then he came up with a genius idea. He thought in the coastal province, maybe they can match the coastal province with the affected disaster county one by one, and ask each coastal province to have one county. That will solve the information problem. They can, if the people go there, they will know how to shift the tent and other relief goods to the particular county. So they don't need to go through everything to the central government and then trickle down to the disaster area. So he coordinated an emergency meeting with the coastal province and made a quick decision in the meeting. So asked the coastal province to earmark 1% of its annual budget to help the parent county for 3 years. So they make decision very quick. And even without the permission from the central leader, he said he didn't have time to ask their permission. And then each province sent a deputy governor to the disaster area to take charge of the relief and the reconstruction effort. And the central government will evaluate their performance. So this created more like a yardstick competition. So when the donor province came to the disaster area, it further subcontracted the task to a lower level because each province has many cities. So it asked each city to have one township. Township is one level below county. So they can further create even competitions among different cities. So can immediately find which city is performing better than others. This creates competitive pressures for cities to improve their efficiency. And then the information glut problem was effectively solved. So how big is the pairwise aid? On average, each person received about 3,000 US dollars. That is about 1.5 times of per capita GDP 2007. So that's quite large. In some counties, like Wenchuan County, each person received about $500,000 US, because that's a tiny county. At that time, the central government thought, because it was center of the epicenter, the government thought it was damaged the most, and then asked the richest Guangdong province to help out. But later it turned out it was not the most severely damaged. So each person already received $500,000 US. So there's large variations across the affected counties. And you can see the details of the pairwise aid. These counties came in immediately, designed the projects, put a lot of personnel and goods, relief goods to the disaster counties. And the achievement is remarkable. Initially, the government thought to finish the restructuring in 3 years, but all the restructuring were finished in 2 years, in large because of the competition. The speed was much faster than the reconstruction effort in Katrina, after Katrina in the US, also much faster than Japan after the tsunami and earthquake. In Japan, recently you may read the news report, many construction efforts have been very slow. And after the success of the earthquake restructuring effort, the pairwise aid approach has been used in other areas. For example, it has been used in poverty elevation effort. The pairwise paired the coastal counties with inland province, let them help each other. Recently, the Chinese government adopted this strategy to help Africa. They asked the provincial agriculture academy of agriculture to set up agriculture R&D stations in different countries of Africa based on their climatic zones. It turned out also very efficient. So the key message I want to argue that a disaster, if treating wisely, it can be used as an opportunity for reform, for building up institutions. China has used it similar strategy before. For example, after the epidemic of SARS in 2003, China set up a national emergency system, largely copying the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, in the US. It sent a team to US and Japan to learn about the disaster emergency response plans. And also China passed emergency response law in 2005 and draft national emergency plans. And the plan was immediately used in the 2008 earthquake. You can see after each disaster, the institutions, the government tried to learn something and build up institutions, which in the long run will help mediate the negative results. So this is one way to build up the resilience. You have to build institutions, you have to learn from the disasters. So Chinese word crisis actually has two meanings. One is crisis, another is opportunity. So it's very important to treat crisis as an opportunity to build up resilience. So let's turn to the last 2 slides. This, because the pairwise strategy was formulated in a very short time, it also has some drawbacks. One drawback is it creates a lot of waste. I said before, in one county, each person on average received $500,000 US. The money just flood there. You can see where, you guess where it is located. This is in the disaster area, the photo I took. They just copied the model from Australia town. They built a new town like Australia as a showcase. So I think you can see how expensive the money they had through there. You can see all the beautiful towns. And they built this, they call it a cultural exhibit. And it was not well designed. You see the slope of the grass, and turned out it's very difficult to maintain because there's slope. If you water the grass, the water will flow down. And also inside, they didn't have any windows. So you go inside very dark because they didn't have time to think about how to design a good exhibit to create a lot of problem. And then we turned the key to the local government. Local government refused to take it because they said we couldn't manage it. It's too costly to maintain it. So you see there's also some side effect. But I think China will learn it. Next time, they probably can pacify the pairwise system. Thank you.